Let's get started. I guess I don't have all my stream info all sorted out. I also don't know what my Twitch stream name is, but I honestly don't care because at this point, like streaming to Twitch, it's an interesting experiment, but nobody's actually like picking up on that, so doesn't hurt, but also doesn't really like matter all that much. The audio today might be a little shit compared to usual because it's hot and I'm not streaming for 3 hours without the AC on. So I do have noise reduction on, but that might also mess a little bit with my voice. I also don't have my headphones on, which I usually do to like listen back to my own voice as we're streaming, but that doesn't filter out the AC noise. So yeah, that's a bit of a pain to have that thing blasting constantly into my ear. So I'm not doing that either. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be working on this character right here. I was talking with ChatGPT to like bounce off some character concepts, and it kind of like fucked up the thing that I asked for. The thing that I asked for was a enemy design. Or like some general ideas for enemy design that could work as an enemy that is, vulnerable from the back and then invincible from the front. So you have to like go around it in order to be able to attack it. That's the idea, which very much again is a concept taken from every Kingdom Hearts game ever has one of these types of enemies. But I think that it's a really interesting idea for a enemy design because it's actually an enemy that has like some different like interactions with the player aside from just like attacking or being attacked. There's a extra element, an extra dimension to how you interact with that enemy. So it generated this at first, and I was like, that's not what I'm. No, that's not it. But then I looked at the design itself, and I was like, actually, it's kind of shit for what I asked for, but I actually kind of like the design in its simplicity, and it's gonna be relatively easy, I imagine, to model and animate. So we might as well throw it in because I need more generic enemies to place throughout the world to begin with, right? So this is going to be one of them. And if I have my way, we will probably do most of the actual modeling today. And we'll be able to like rig him up and animate him super easily as well. If the plan that I have for it works. So what we're going to do is I'm going to sculpt this thing to begin with in the rough shape, and then we're just gonna like retopologize them real quick. Should be fairly straightforward to do because the shapes are fairly simple in this instance, I think. And maybe we'll even get through like importing these into Unreal today. My license for Substance Painter has expired because I did get a CC license for Substance Painter at some point. I stopped that because I figured I actually want to use the Steam version because, as I understand it, that actually will allow you to launch it on Linux, which is good. I'm not on Linux right now, but should I want to use it on Linux, it's nice to have. So I'm gonna do that. But I don't have that yet. So at the moment, I live in a world without Substance Painter. Anyway, I think the way to start this off, and by the way, I have on my other perspective, I have the side, everything is like lined up. I pre-did that. So to get started, let's just, I guess, add in a UV sphere and kind of like put it in a position roughly around its head. So you can see that this more or less making things see-through makes them. Oh, hold on, I'm just moving it in the wrong axis. Is it this place now there? Nope. I need to be displacing this in the y-axis. So it's aligned to both of these now, and I can start like sculpting out. Let's do the side view first, and then we'll kind of make that work with the front view. So I should be able to just go into the got a lot of brain fog today, so bear with me here. Where is the... Am I just like really... Oh, I'm already in sculpting mode. Holy shit. Again, a lot of brain fog today. It's been a long week. So let's go into sculpting mode. And then I guess the first thing to do would be... I think this is the snake hook, right? So to make sure everything is symmetrical. To just like kind of snake hook this out, maybe. Maybe we also just need this to be higher geometry. So let's remesh first, and then we like snake hook this out. The strength isn't that high. Let's set the strength to be a little higher. Well, it actually should be touch control probably, but so yeah, that's the basic idea then, right? It's just to snake hook out the rough shape of the body like this, and then go in and remesh every so often so that we generate the geometry that's needed. And that'll allow us to make the first basic shape of our little dude here. It's just kind of filling out, like filling in the lines, honestly. That's the real big upside to like doing this slightly AI-involved workflow, which I know that a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you're using AI. And to that I say, well, yes. But the like big upside to doing this is that I now have what you would usually like have concept art for. Having like somewhat decent perspective. And this is obviously still worse than having a proper concept artist. But I also like don't have either the skill or the budget to hire a concept artist for every character ever. So it gets a little difficult sometimes to make these characters, and having this even as just a bad guide is better than not having anything at all. So that's how we can set that up, and we're going to eventually have to actually that's a pretty good point. Right now I'm modeling this to like follow this same curve, but we're going to be rigging this thing as well. So evil seahorse looks cool though. I mean, yeah, that's kind of it. I've been kind of thinking about it like a Dratini from Pokemon. Kind of, but like evil. Especially with like the way that it still like curls up from these like different perspectives. Okay, so that is an issue. That should not have happened that way. Anyway, eventually we're gonna need to rig this thing anyway, and it needs to like go down. I guess we can just like, can we just fill this up in a reasonable way? I guess if we just, that's not the, what if we just try to like inflate this to fill it up? I don't think this is gonna work very well, to be honest with you. Yeah, I don't think this is. Okay. Let's Control Z through all that, because that clearly didn't work. I thought that was going to be a good way to do things, but maybe it's not. Maybe I just need the first little bit to, like, be done from, like, this angle-ish. Oh, that's not a wrong brush. Like, if we... it's kind of difficult to line this up if I can't use these perspectives. So I would very much like to use these perspectives, and now it's kind of doing it, I think. So yeah, I think that's a bit better. Game dev is not that profitable, right? I mean, it isn't until it is, but for the most part it isn't, because turns out making a game is like a pretty complex thing to do, and it needs like either a lot of time or a lot of people, or actually like kind of both. Which means that in order to like make it anywhere near like financially reasonable to do, Yeah, that's it's difficult. I think I'm realizing this too late. It's the same with every single form of art though. If you're doing it hoping that it's going to be profitable, that you're going to be able to make a lot of money off of it, you're better off just like not bothering with it, because there's almost never an actual like art form that is consistently a good financial decision. Like making things because you want to make them and then hopefully making money off of it is sweet, but it's almost always like a suboptimal business decision. Almost. Obviously, you have your exceptions. You have your like indie successes and that kind of stuff. It's a bit better for a general shape, I think. Then we obviously do need to like inflate that out a lot. Let's now use the grabbing brush. Because we need to do a lot of this. Yeah, being an actor isn't profitable for like almost anybody either. That's a very good example. Like there's a couple of people that make a lot of money as actors, and then there's a bunch of people that can kind of like get by from acting gigs, and then there's a lot of people working in the restaurant business in LA hoping to become actors. That, well, they are actors, but hoping to be able to like make enough money off of it. Like a lot of people in Hollywood work like night jobs because it just doesn't pay the bills. Best Bet is mobile. You're in like a super wide pool there too, though. Like even there, like it's easier to pump out a bunch of stuff, but it's also like you're competing with just as much stuff, and making money is also like quite difficult there, because the odds of you actually like getting to some kind of critical mass that is actually like in any way gonna make you money is difficult, because for the most part you're gonna like rely on ad impressions, which is generally not that much as far as I'm aware, and microtransactions, and for that you need to rely on like whales, and to rely on whales you need to hit a certain critical mass. Fab pays my power bill every month. Yeah, just making assets for other people to use in their games is a far superior business model. Like if you know what type of like assets you need to make that will sell well, making those and selling those to people making games with them is far superior, because now those people are buying your assets, and no matter if their game succeeds or fails, you've already made your money. It's the whole analogy of like in a gold rush, the people digging for gold, some of them might get rich, but you know who is consistently making money in a gold rush? People who sell shovels. Should be doing this with a snake hook. Should also probably like remesh. I don't know if I did that already there. Well, actually, before we go ahead and do that, we probably want to like start bloating this thing out a little. So the issue with this AI generated shit is that it is actually like posed already, so it's a little bit difficult to figure this out. So we're gonna need to eyeball this a little bit. But we'll probably manage to do just fine with that. And I actually think that we don't want this little like nubbin on there yet. We'll do that later. Now that I think about it. I added microtransactions to my latest game. I added a stamina bar that keeps decreasing while playing. Made 10k downloads, 120 euros from microtransactions. Yeah, so that's kind of the thing, right? That's like not that much. But if you like get to a point where you have like instead of 10k downloads, you're like at 1 million downloads, that's probably going to scale more than just what is that, like 100xing the 120 euros? Because at that point, you're fairly guaranteed to have some people with bad impulse control. And at that point, you like ethically have to wonder, like, am I okay, like, abusing people's lack of impulse control to make money off of? Like, it's kind of a shitty thing to do, right? But at some point, you're like guaranteed to get some of those people, and that's where you like actually make money on mobile. So yeah, the only way to like make consistent money on mobile is to like take advantage of people. So I don't personally love that. It's not the only way to make any money, but like consistently make a good amount of money. You're gonna be like abusing people, which kind of sucks. If there's one thing that's more difficult than making a game work, it's trying to be a game dev YouTuber. Like, don't think that's necessarily like a good, like, monetizable path either. Because now you have to be both a decent game dev and a pretty good, like, content creator. Which the overlap for that is quite difficult to, like, properly nail. And both of those are like actual full-time jobs as well. Which is a pain in the ass to like both do. Like, I honestly don't envy the people that like do more like YouTube game dev type content where they're like, 6 devs made 1 game without communicating, or I made a game in X time, or like those much more like YouTubery type videos within the game dev niche. I don't envy those at all, because that is a shit ton of work. And most of the time when you make something like that, you put in a shit ton of work and it gets like 100 views when you get started. So that's like a week, maybe like even a month of like time investment, and then you get like 100 views. Because it's not just gonna blow up because you copy the format of something successful. Like, hundreds of people are copying that format and most of them aren't getting seen. I mean, I'm actually like not doing that well on either of those though. It's the thing. Like, I'm fairly slow in making progress for my game, and like the YouTube channel, like it exists and it does well enough, but it's like definitely not a super well optimized YouTube channel by any stretch of the imagination. You can see the last like couple of weeks I made a couple of videos that are a little bit more like, they're still tutorials, but the like thumbnail title combinations are a little bit more screamy, a little bit more YouTubery, and you can instantly see that they're getting like 3, 4, 5 times the amount of views, which is infuriating. Yeah. I think it's only worth it if you got sponsors. I mean, that's kind of like a chicken or the egg situation, right? Because by the time you get enough views to get a sponsor that's like gonna pay you anything worthwhile, you also probably have enough of a reach that you're like getting some amount of views, and you do have a certain amount of like active community around it. Because if you get like 1,000 or 2,000 views on a video, nobody's gonna fucking sponsor that. Like, you need to be pretty consistently getting like thousands of views on your content before anybody is gonna really want to pay you for a sponsorship opportunity. And obviously, you're going to be making more money with the sponsor than just with ads, but yeah. Well, getting a sponsor deal isn't as easy, sadly, as deciding that you would like to be sponsored by something. Because obviously sponsors also like want to get something out of it. So you need to invest a bunch of time to like grow that audience and grow that community before you can like even expect to see anything that, holy shit, I yeeted my speakers off my desk. Before you can even like start to hope seeing any like return on that investment. Like if you had to pay yourself a decent hourly wage for all the time that you work on such a channel before it starts to make like actual like notable amounts of money back, you were investing like probably tens of thousands of dollars worth of like your own labor into this. I haven't reached out to any publishers. I don't particularly think that I am interested in doing that for this game. Maybe in the future I would. But I don't think for this game that's particularly something that I actually just realized that I'm pre-posing this fucker. Probably not the best idea. For this game, I don't think I'm gonna do that because I've got so many other things like to do that I don't really like want to have that responsibility towards a publisher. Where is the posing? Is it this one? Yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I don't really want to have like that responsibility towards like a publisher, right? Because I don't always have exactly the how am I gonna do it? I guess we'll just model it in this pose, then rig it, and then pose it, and then bake that pose to be its new default. Because I do need this pose to like in the end be like a chain of bones just going straight down. Anyway, let me finish my sentence. God damn it. Yeah, responsibility toward a publisher, right? If I had a publisher, if I had anybody that was even interested, I'd certainly have a responsibility to hit certain milestones at certain times to like get that money. And I just don't think that at this time I can guarantee hitting certain milestones at certain times. I obviously do have some sort of like production, like ideal production timeline, but I just cannot guarantee that I hit those. And right now I'm in a situation where like I have the YouTube channel, I have like freelance work, I have time I'm investing like out of my own like time into the game, which kind of like, yeah, it slows down the game development for sure, but it also if I were to jump in with a publisher and like get money to like finish making this game and then this game flops, like I suddenly don't have the support system of like my freelance work as much anymore. So it's like kind of not the responsible thing to like jump in full time for that right now. Now I have considered maybe applying for a Epic Mega Grant, because like the whole thing is that I'm making a game in conjunction with providing educational content about me making a game and how to like make things that I'm making in my game as well and that kind of stuff. And I think that might actually like work fairly well for a Epic grant. So I might try to like get some amount of budget out of that to like support myself developing the game, and also to hire in people that can do things that I just cannot do, like making music is one of them, and maybe helping a little bit with the art workflow as well. Will you make the frame? I don't know what you mean by that, but will you rig and animate? I am going to, when this is like modeled at some point in the future, I will rig and animate it as well, yeah. I guess this is the first kind of like rough outline of the dude. His neck definitely needs to be like a little thinner as well. I was honestly thinking about maybe not doing this with sculpting before. And now that I'm actually like doing this with sculpting, I'm thinking that that might have been the better option, to be like 100% honest. Like it might make a lot more sense to just like, I don't know, this kind of works. The reference images are just that, right? Just like general reference images. It's not like, I kind of feel like this beak or whatever you want to call it could do with maybe being a little longer. So let's do that, and then yeah. So many vertices. Yeah, this is just the high poly sculpt, right? This needs to like be retopologized, obviously. This is not going to go into the game like right now, right like this. That would be insanity. Like, don't do that. I guess we kind of want you to have somewhat of an extruded like faceplate here that we're eventually going to be like putting a plate onto. So you could LOD and model. Yeah, so I don't know how familiar you are with like art workflows for 3D models, specifically like characters often. But when you sculpt stuff, things are like, this is not the geometry. This geometry is not going to be in-game at all. All that this is the like working file. When we actually have this thing finished, we go through and just effectively remodel the entire thing in a better way. Both in a lower poly count, but also in a way that just animates better, because the edge loops line up and that kind of stuff. And for this character, that should be relatively easy. And then you can like decimate that fairly easily for different LODs if you need to, of course. Okay. This is gonna be kind of tricky, I think. Let's try to make these. Well, that's not bad. Hold on. So yeah, right now, if I look at how many vertices, it's not even that bad, because we're still at fairly low detail levels. But if I look somewhere in here, I think it has a thing to show statistics. Might not have that in sculpting mode. I think it's in here somewhere, statistics, right? Yeah. Oh, right now it's not even that bad, honestly. Like, as you can see, we're only at about like 6,000 faces. So I could put this into engine, but this is still geometry that would animate absolutely horridly. Like, you don't want to animate with this. because the deformation of this type of topology is just bad. Let's curve them in a little bit, right? I kind of wish there was a shortcut for remeshing. In ZBrush, you can just like control and then like drag and it just remeshes. So that's kind of nice. I don't think Blender has anything like that. And then I kind of like the shape that this has here. So let's try to like see if we can pull something like that out in a somewhat reasonable looking way. I think for that we're going to go into a like higher detail mode. So what I'm thinking is we duplicate this, then I don't know how Sculpting is going to deal with this, to be clear. This is a bit of an experiment on my part. But the idea being is that if we some one of these. Hello? Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, now that makes sense. So the idea being that I kind of want this to be yeah, that's probably fine. I want to just like remove all of this geometry. And we're just gonna kind of delete this, and then I want to get a message in the background. Like displace this ever so slightly. Not that much. I don't know why this is grayed out, by the way. It's kind of weird. I just want this to be displaced like super slightly. So that's a little bit like thicker in offset. And then we want to solidify this. Or maybe not even solidify it, to be honest with you. Well, for now, let's solidify it. Give that a thickness. Let's not solidify it yet, actually. Let's keep that until the end. Because now if we like add these back onto each other, we have like actual two different bits of mesh. Pokemon, get the deck game console now. Looks like Pokemon. Yeah, sure. It kind of does look like a Pokemon. That's true. Was that message I got important, by the way? Nope. Okay, so with that, that means that we can also get rid of the top half of this. And that means that there can be two different meshes and we'll join them back together in the end. I think that might be a not super stupid workflow right now. Or it might be. I don't know. Again, this is not necessarily what I'm particularly like great with. So let's go this one. Because now we can just remesh this one into a finer detail. Okay. It doesn't like that with a non-manifold mesh, does it? I guess we do need to solidify it after all. Now we can remesh it, right? Still has holes in it. Okay, so that's... That whole idea, turns out, doesn't work that well. I thought it was going to work fairly well. It did not. Can also do a small body and particle effects. that's not really what I'm going for here, but you could do that, definitely, but that's not really what I'm like going for. I want this to be like a slithery little boy, and I have like an idea for that. That's going to be fairly easy to set up in Control Rig in Unreal Engine. It's going to make him also super easy to animate. And actually, in the end, be a lot easier than making good-looking particle effects for that kind of like cloud thing to begin with. I'm just trying to... I guess we just mesh this thing to be finer detail now. It's kind of trying to like not do that yet, but I think that's the way we do it. So let's go down to about half the size, remesh again, and then we still have gonna need to remesh a lot. So now you can see we're up to 23,000 verts compared to the 6,000 that we were at before, roughly. So it's starting to like really get up there fairly quickly when we start going down in these like sizes. But even 23k would probably be fine, like in engine. But the eventual like thing for this is probably gonna be like just a couple of thousand faces. So, okay, the idea that I had was to make these just two different shapes. I guess I can still do that. I guess I can still do that as part of like the Retopology. Because I feel like this face mask here is going to be something that I hard surface model, maybe. Maybe not. Let me try something else. Like, what if we do this, and then... we go back into sculpt mode on this, and then is there a way that I can just like say, hey, delete a whole bunch of stuff manifold with a sculpting brush? That would be ideal. I don't think there is. Let me check if I can find anything on Google. Blender sculpt mode, just like delete. Oh, I could unmasked. I could do a mask and then delete everything that's not masked, maybe. How to erase some of my sculpting. Yes, that's exactly what I want. Smooth. No, that's not what I want. I guess I can try to like smooth away the entire fucking mesh up till that point. Like if I just do this, but that's going to take forever. So I don't really want to do it that way. No, it's just one model. It's just the image comes with like 4 perspectives on them. Oh, oh, do I still have the solidify thing on? I still have it solidified, I think. Ooh, that would be bad. Oh, it is. Oh, hold on, hold on, hold on. I don't want that. Don't want that. Very don't want that. That's vertex paint. That's the wrong mode. Weight paint, still the wrong mode. Okay, yes. Okay, different ID. Different ID. We're still going to make this thing kind of like cut off, but what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to make a cube. Well, okay, this is going to be a little weird, but we're going to make another sphere. And then I'm going to just do this. And I'm gonna boolean with this. And that sphere, right? So if we apply that, now we should have... Ooh, that still leaves a hole, doesn't it? That still leaves a hole. No, it doesn't. It just leaves bad topology. But that is fixable with remeshing. Hold on. I think we might have what I wanted, after all. Like sculpt mode, if we now remesh, this is pretty much what I wanted to have. Because now we have a separate mesh for the head, which means that we can... let's call this head. Let's displace it. Not misplace, but displace. Slightly. So that we can like easily select either or. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I thought B is supposed to be like blob. And we can kind of like sculpt and smooth things out to like more manually create this divide a bit more properly. Now it's coming together. Yeah, that's the way that I wanted to have it. Strength for this smoothing brush is like definitely too high though. Oh, that's... I just need to... Which one is smooth? I think this one is smooth. All right, there we go. So, next up, we were doing remeshing this dude to a lower thing, right? That didn't actually remesh it, did it? No, it didn't. Okay, now it is. Let's add in the like a little extra horn here. Because that's what we've been working toward this entire time. That's pretty decent. I kind of feel like this could indeed be maybe more like kind of connected in a way. Bigger brush. Bigger brush will help. If we smooth that out. Specifically like smooth this out a lot more. Put the smooth brush way too low now. That's better. Yeah, that connects it up a little more. Don't smooth it out that much. Still, it needs to like be thicker than the underlying material or model or other. Which gets us to the face mask, I think. Because this is pretty much like 90% of the model done. Like the model is going to be super simple. Which I should be doing more characters that are this simple, to be fair. Because... Oh, just... There we go. Because I only like am one guy. And I'm not particularly like a super good artist to begin with. Can I just remesh this and I have it? Yes, I can. So like keeping stuff simple is probably a pretty good idea for me. Maybe give him a little bit more of like a back again, and I'll make him a little bit wider. A little bit narrower here. Where the fuck did the head go? Oh, I just made it invisible. Okay. Um, can still use a little work there. Let's shape it a little bit more because I do like the droopiness of like the idea that it comes to like this point here at the front. So that's a little bit more going on than just having like some layers, like doing that and then maybe having something similar here in the back, but having it a bit more like this. I'm making it up as I go. This is going to be one of those characters that I don't even think I necessarily need to like bake the high poly to the low poly that I'm going to make. I think this high poly is just like the sculpting workflow works nicely for this character design. And then once we're done sculpting, we just retopologize and like add in any like extra like detail to like define them all that way. And everything else is going to be like purely done in texture work in Substance, I think. So it's not even that big a deal if we clip through in certain parts. I'm using a, what is it called? Like a Wacom 1 by Wacom. Those are two different things. The cheap one, which is a cheap drawing tablet. You could do this with a mouse, but it's just having a drawing tablet actually like does make this type of stuff a lot easier. So I would personally highly recommend that. Let's actually maybe do something a little funny here. And I'm going to take this. Does this make sense to do? I don't know. It might not. We'll see. We're just bullying this away from that. Oh, yeah, that's not going to work that way. Let's call this body. If we bully in the head out of the thing that's now called body, and we apply that, and we turn off the head real quick. Maybe not ideal to do it this way right this moment, but also it's probably fine. The reason that I wanted to do that, why did I want to do that actually? That's a good question. I had a reason for it that I don't remember now. Oh well. I really don't remember. Anyway, let's copy over the head again. Well, actually, maybe we do, maybe we don't. I don't know. What I'm kind of thinking is we copy over the head again. We call this mask. We go into sculpt mode on this, and can we like just give these different colors? We can, right? So now if we sculpt out of this, ooh, but these colors are way too similar. Can we change that anywhere? Blender, random, objects, color, viewports. Can I just give it a different material? I guess I can just do this in material mode, technically. Suppose that works. Yeah. So now it's kind of Z fighting, which is not ideal. I don't know, man. It kind of feels like let's do this differently. Let's do this like this instead. What we're going to do is we're going to go into edit mode on this. Now we're first going to remesh. I think we're first going to remesh. So let's go back into sculpting, remesh it. Then we're going to go into edit mode, which didn't seem to remesh it at all. Why not? Anyway, I'm just gonna select everything here that I don't care for, which is effectively everything behind the face, and delete it. And then we're gonna do the solidify like method that I tried to do before. So let's delete those verts. We solidify it. Give it a certain thickness. I'm going to also displace it a little before I solidify it. Which I think we can only see in object mode. Yes. So displace is just a slight bit. Give it a bit more thickness, and then we put back the head again. We now have an outline for the mask. Obviously, once we apply these, now we go back into... Well, no, actually, there's one more thing that I want to do. I want to go into Edit, Auto Mirror, X, so that it's actually symmetrical. Apply that as well. Now we go back into sculpt mode. Once again, we remesh to make sure that everything is just like one big mesh. And now we can actually start working on this thing a little bit better, right? So let's start by like smoothing everything out. And then we can start shaping this thing a bit more. And just like that, we have the separate mesh for the mask. Sometimes I do have good ideas. I still do need this to like not be a shit color though. But well, actually that works fairly well with a new random color. So let's keep at that this way. Okay. I do want these edges to be somewhat more sharp. Which probably means that I'm going to need to remesh this into a smaller resolution. Smooth everything out first, so we don't have like any weird topology glitches. And then what we're going to do is maybe this brush can help us like flatten this out a little. Maybe the brush size is too big for what I'm doing with it right now, I realize. But it's actually, no, this is actually pretty good. Because if we do this on this side, and carefully, and then we do it on the front of the thing itself as well, we should start creating a pretty like sharp edge, I think. It's the basic idea anyway. What happens if we remesh that? It becomes a bit of a mess. It's also just not enough geometry here for that, I guess. Which makes no sense because it is pretty like dense at this point, I think. Well, could be worse, I guess. Okay. Now though, used to be that it just had a tooltip of what fucking brush you're about to select when you hover over it. It no longer does that. I guess we do it through here. So the brush that I have right now is plateau, and this is flatten. So I think, oh fuck, I smoothed away my edge there. Let's see what flatten can do for us as well. Because I do want to like flatten out these surfaces as a whole pretty much. Entirely. Without making things like peek through. We also have like this multi-scrape plane somewhere, I think. Right? So maybe we can use that to like pinch down a bit. I do think we need to remesh again, but it breaks. Why does it break? Because this is poking through, I think. That's why it breaks, right? Which means that we just need more. Let's go all the way back to like this state and then remesh this. Because this didn't like break too bad. And then we can, I guess we can like try to like trim this down a fair bit. Smaller brush size. Much smaller brush. I don't think trimming is necessarily what we need actually, maybe. And if we do want it to be trimming, we need it to be trimming with a lot less power. Like, I think trimming might not be that bad an idea. Because it does help create those sharper edges, I think. That we're eventually going to want there. And we then also do it on this side, you know. And start slowly shaping this up to be close to what we want. It's also not properly symmetrical somehow, I think. Also way too strong. Why is everything so strong? Even though I have like pen pressure turned on, everything is so strong. I just like lightly brush the tablet. It just goes bananas. It also doesn't super matter how tight I make these edges necessarily, because when we do the retopology, we can make these edges as sharp as we want in that topology, I guess. So as long as it's close enough, again, we're probably not even going to use this in any sort of normal baking. So we can be a little bit lazy with it. Just a little bit, though. It's breaking apart. It's breaking apart again. I don't want it to be breaking apart. Don't make the backside here come through the... I think that's part of the issue, is that we somehow made this backside come through. If we just relax these faces here a lot more, it should be a bit less fucked. I think here we can start like edge trimming again. This is a situation where I'm like, but ZBrush does just kind of feel better with like these more like semi-intelligent brushes. So we plateau, which again fucks up the backside there. And once we have this plateaued, I want this to become a sharper edge. But then I need to go back again and pull this shit back. Ah, man. And now it's clipping through the other way, so that doesn't like actually help in the slightest. This is just a nightmare. You know what we'll do? I'm going to inflate the shit out of this. I'm going to pull this back. And we'll remesh with this just being like super thick on the inside and outside, and then we'll like work through these front and back faces. Is there any way that I can just not be grabbing the back faces? For fuck's sake, that should be... Surely that's a thing that I can do? Is it projected? I think it's like when I do this projected, it shouldn't be grabbing the back faces, maybe. No, no, it still does. Can you just leave the back faces where the fuck they are, man? What I'm asking, topology? Front faces only. That seems a bit better. It's kind of fucking things up there in other special ways now, but that might be the topology setting that I had actually. No, now it's just grabbing randomly, like not actually related front faces, which is better, but still not good. Oh, that's just... Oh, that's also fucked. It's now messing up the edges. Yeah, no, that's still bad. Because now I've managed to like fuck up some of my edges. I don't. Dude. I'm gonna do this differently. I don't know, man. Local. We'll do it like this. That's at least going to be slightly more doable. Also, can I please not be on circle select? And now I would like to be back on global. Now we just need to subdivide this like a fair few times with simple subdivision. And then what I'm going to do, this is going to be fun, is we're going to add in object mode, we're going to add a lattice. The lattice is going to be fairly high resolution. Let's say like 8 by 8 by 8. We'll try to line this up in a way that makes sense. It's going to take a moment, but we'll get there. I'm sure that there's a way to just copy over the transform location of this thing, but, well, we're making it work. Then we lettuce shrink wrap this thing to our head. And then this thing, in theory, I think if we just do a lattice deform. There we go. Can even move the lattice around a little bit. I don't think it needs, like, necessarily, like, the depth as much, to be honest. Just needs the X and the Y. Yeah, so now we can use that as a basis to like sculpt off of. But before we do any of that, well, actually, we can add in 3 loops in both directions and then pull these in there normal. There's no way that's your normal direction, man. Well, I guess actually once we apply this, it might be. Maybe we need this to be... Okay. That might be a better starting position for us to work off of. Still probably going to be kind of shit. Let's try to make a copy of that before we do anything. And then try to sculpt this. I thought this was going to be a pretty easy character to make, but it's giving me some trouble. Let's remesh this thing before we begin, actually. Oh, that's bad. Why is it so fucked? Well, it's pretty good geometry, so I don't even think we need to remesh that. So that's probably fine. Something is kind of off about the directionality here. Also, it's not mirrored or anything. Something about this is weird, right? Oh, I know what the issue is. The issue is that this is scale applied. There we go. Okay. Well, the skill wasn't applied is what the issue was. So now that we have that, I can actually sculpt this in the way that I envisioned, finally. And suddenly, it's not that big a deal anymore. See, we can just do this now. Need to get into 3D modeling. How long did it take you to familiarize yourself with Blender? I wouldn't even call myself very familiar with Blender, to be honest. So, I don't know. Learning like the super basics to just like be able to navigate the UI a couple of days. And from that point, I don't know, Still, every time I open Blender, I kind of have to now like relearn a bunch of stuff because I just don't use it that much. It still kind of sucks. Still isn't good. This is what I mean. I'm not good at this, like at all. Like without a doubt, obviously, this needs to come back all the way down. And this needs to generally be more rounded. But the issue is now it just becomes a thin fucking shell, which I can't do anything with. So I guess the way to deal with that is to shape it roughly into the shape that we want now, which is more filled out here. And I'll put the like actual head to match the mask when we actually like have a functional mask, but it's going to be a while before we have that functional mask, I feel. Well, this kind of is getting there. Except that it's too much of like a nose at the end. It needs to more naturally come to a point. I don't super hate this. I just kind of hate it a little bit. But we can displace this, not that much. But I guess if we just displace this a little bit, we add in back some like width, which we then can like smooth out everywhere a little. So it's got some width to it again. Which we can start working with. And then we get back to, okay, now we can start trimming things down again to like make this into like the sharper shape that it should be. I think this is starting to work out. Well, that seems pretty decent. We need to add in the eyes. I think adding in the eyes is going to help a lot. So how are we going to do the eyes is the question. And the answer is, fuck if I know. I was honestly kind of just thinking, like, adding in a cube. And just, like, rotate that cube around. Put it roughly into place and just kind of, like, extrude everything out from there. If you just extrude this into there, extrude Z. Oh, that's kind of messed up. Let's try it again. That makes a lot of sense as to why it didn't snap to the axis to begin with, actually, now that I think about it. So if we just take this and we scale this in the X. Maybe even a little bit more still. Other X, Y. Is it Y? It is Y. That should be able to cut a hole through. So maybe that'll do. I kind of feel like maybe we can rotate this and move it up a little. But yeah, so that should allow us to like bully in this now. That does a lot. That does do a lot, doesn't it? Question is, how is this going to look in sculpt mode? Actually, we can kind of... it doesn't like doing that, does it? I guess we can turn off the preview for that while we sculpt this. Because I do kind of want to like shape around those eyes as well. So let's try to kind of do that. I need a smaller brush size. Nah, that's bad. Maybe we want to plateau around them first a little. What do we do that? Oh, no, that's definitely not it. Okay, so if we do that, and then we trim based on that. A little, and we do need, like, this little thing. I want that to, like, keep being a thing. I think I'm just gonna apply it. I'm gonna send it. Don't remesh that. Remesh this to this density, please. There we go. Needs a little smoothing out in some places, which I think actually making this a little smoother on the edges is probably like good to begin with. Wait, what the fuck is going on with that? Hold on. When I apply this, what does that... I think something went wrong with... What the fuck? Apply. Modifier disabled. What the fuck do you mean modifier disabled? Oh. Control Z one too many times. That looks pretty good. Okay, let's pay attention to the eye now, because I think something got messed up with the remesh. There might have been something... Wait, no. No, that seems like it checks out, so that's probably pretty good so far. Okay, try again. Yes. I think this kind of shapes the way that I wanted it to be. It's not 100%, but again, it's one of those frustrating things where if you're just not quite good enough at art, you have something in your head, or in this case, also partly in an image, you try to recreate it, and it just doesn't happen. Because you suck. Or, in my case, like, I suck. You probably don't. I do. Because we've been at this for about an hour and a half already. But this is also getting close to a place where I'm like, yeah, we can probably like call it here. I'll just round out these edges a little bit more. Well, actually, no, I don't want them to be rounded out, do I? I want them to be sharp. So let's like trim them to be sharp. And then smooth them out so that they don't clip through themselves. So that's relatively sharp, I would say. Maybe we can like scrape the... We can pinch a little bit as well. If we pinch, it makes edges slightly sharper in theory, I think. Oh, that's not pinching. That is... Oh, that's relax pinch. What I want is pinch. Just pinch. There we go. So yeah, that's what we want. We want to pinch. It's kind of giving Hollow Knight vibes now, isn't it? But again, just less good. Just bad Hollow Knights. Anything that's a little overpinched, we might want to like relax, I guess. And now let's go back into the head and just shape the head to fit the mask a little bit better. I think that's the way to do it. Before we do that though, I think what I'm going to try, this might not work, but I think it's a little bit on the thick side. So what if I just displace it like super slightly inward? It does not like that at all. Never mind. Yeah, we'll worry about that later. It's not the most important thing right now. So let's go head back into sculpt mode. This is mostly going to just be a matter of grab brush and like grabbing parts and like moving them so they overlap with the edge of the mask. What the hell? Why does it? What's up with that fall off? Like what? How does that make sense? What? I guess it's still grabbing the back faces for those, maybe. This also needs to be a higher resolution at this point. Or at least remeshed. I don't know, it kind of feels like stuff's getting in the way here. Just don't know what's exactly getting in the way. I guess we just kind of like pull this through and everything that clips through we like push back in like a little later. Like we can just smooth this back in. That's probably fine. It's also not symmetrical at all anymore. I don't know when it stopped being symmetrical, but that's potentially a future issue to deal with. Or maybe not, I don't know. But that seems like it's maybe not good. Yeah, that definitely seems like it's really quite bad, actually. I did learn a trick for that the other day, though. Because what you can do, apparently, is... like symmetrize mesh. And that makes the mesh symmetrize. It's effectively just like a destructive mirror operation. It was good to know for this exact type of thing. So yeah. Yeah, the mask is a little wobbly. Bit more than I would have liked, admittedly, and that's kind of bothering me. Yeah, no, it's actually kind of like bothering me a lot, if I'm being honest. But I also don't know that I'm going to be able to easily fix that right now. So let's not. Yeah, I think this is the basic ID for the dude. So let's retopo the individual parts, and then we'll see how we go from there. I did get retopo flow at some point in my life, which is nice. I am going to, I think, hold on. I'm going to go back into sculpt mode. I'm going to like smooth this out like a lot. And then I'm just going to like inflate it a little bit. with the context of the head being there, so I know how much it needs to be like inflated to. Head is also all kinds of fucked. Yes, probably good enough. I kind of like that I accidentally made it like have a little bit of a thing sticking out here on the back for like its spine. So yeah, now that we have that, we try to remember how Retopology works. And I remember that through Googling it. Retopoflow. Let's just see if we have like they have like a website, right? For documents. Quick starts. Have the object you want to draw your new topology to add mesh object mode. Okay, so add mesh. So that's a fucking lie. Either click Retopology at cursor. Do I just not have it enabled? Might not have the plugin enabled. Or the add-on or whatever. Retopoflow. No, I do. So then... So then you're just lying to me again. Oh, Retopoflow. There we go. It's just in a different menu. I guess hoping that it doesn't crash. So the ID, because this is super easy, right? As far as like the topology for this bit goes, the idea would be that I should be able to just like use the... It's a different interface than I had last time. But I should be able to just kind of like do this, but the other way around. So like start here and just like make these contours all through. And we can subdivide this later. And that's at like 90% done for this body part. Probably should also head back into like layout mode. So now we have the low poly version of that. So let's just add in a quick subdivision to make it slightly less low poly, admittedly, but still. Retopologize body. There we go. That's how quickly we can do this, because it is such a simple shape, right? So we compare these poly counts. We go from, in object mode, we go from this thing being still only about like 7,000 triangles, to be fair. But if we go to the Retopoflow body, that's only 1,400 triangles, and it's also better triangles. So let's close this with a grid fill. Okay, maybe not with a grid fill. Maybe we'll need to do this manually. I would like to do that with grid fill, though. This one grid fills pretty well. And then maybe with loop tools we can like relax. No. Loop tools. Curve. No. Surely they have something for that. Is that loft? It's not. What the fuck? I guess we'll do it the good old fashioned way with doing this. Works well enough. This, however, is proving to be a bit more of an issue. Maybe loop tools can actually like bridge this. No. I guess this technically is actually all quads, isn't it? Yeah, so how does that work for the edge flow? Badly is the answer. Okay, maybe we'll need to do that manually as well. Can we now go back into Retopology mode or anything? Look, the tools for this add-on are amazing, and everybody in like the world loves it, and I agree with that. The like user interface experience could definitely be improved. I guess it needs to have this. Okay, start reset overflow. All right, so the idea being is like right now I don't really want to see the base mesh though. That's the thing. Like I don't care about the base mesh. Can I just turn off the base mesh? Because I just want to like connect up some loops, right? Which you do in ways. So that's a loop. That's not a loop. That makes sense. I don't know. I remember being able to just like kind of pull these out some way, but maybe I misremember. So how many like do we have in between this, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So if I like, can I just extrude or something? Can I just like polystrip this maybe? I forgot how this all works. It's really annoying. I think it's the polypen that I used before, but well, I guess I did it like this. So that's this can then connect to that like this. These will have to be triangles, I guess. But this is a quad then. That doesn't really work, does it? Let's do it a different way. Let's try to like see. So that's 1. It's like 2. So this connects to there. This then connects to there. This connects to here. If we draw it in like this, maybe it will be not entirely shit. Wouldn't that be fantastic? So that connects to there. This can then connect straight up like that, right? That still creates a triangle there. I think that's inevitable at this point, though, because this connecting to there also creates a triangle. right? But now we do have a fairly easy, just like bridge this entire thing all the way through. All of this is going to not be visible anyway, right? Because all of this is going to be obscured by the other thing. So this is also going to have a triangle. Does that match up? Nope. This needs to be a triangle. And this... can be entire faces again. And maybe we'll need to like relax some of these. And this then also creates a triangle. Okay, so at least that's all consistent, which means that the loops might not be super shit. They'll be good enough. I'm sure. So we turn off the body again. We now have the body retopologized in edit mode. If I go into face select, yeah, that's still kind of fucked because of all those triangles. I don't care, is the thing. So let's do the head. What the fuck, the head? Oh, that... yeah, no, that makes sense. Surely it'll get better, right? Hold on. Exit. Retopo body. Apparently I had caps lock on. So we can only focus on the head itself now. Start with contours again, I guess. And then from here, we're quickly going to not be able to use contours again. Especially since this is all... can we just... probably can't remesh that, right? I'm going to try to remesh this one more time to see if it fixes the, like, non-manifold holes, but it's... or holes. But it's probably only going to get worse. Yep. Well, that's maybe going to be a bit of a pain. But we'll see. Let's try to draw a bullet strip. And then... draw a couple of these in place. Hold on, that was a little... not good. Those shouldn't connect with here. Gotta be real sure that they don't like mess up in that way, because that's a bit of a headache to to deal with. Then, can I just draw one like this? No, of course I cannot. Alright then, let's first see how we connect all these individual bits up, and then we'll see how we wrap them around. This is probably going to be pretty bad, because I'm not good at this. Because it sucks to do. Even with a plugin that makes it like somewhat doable. It is really tempting to just throw this thing into ZBrush and like remesh it in there, because the ZBrush like solution for this is actually pretty good. But let's try to like be good about this. So far that went fairly well. Now this is where things get a little tricky. Well, actually not even that bad, because we can just connect up like everything to each other pretty directly here. This will have to probably... something will have to happen there. But even doing that is pretty much fine. And then we can connect that up. Now, this is higher resolution than that, right? So how do we do that? I know that there's specific patterns to like merge loops into each other, and I need to learn more about those, because this is exactly the type of thing where that is like relevant. I guess I can just like see if I can find anything on Google. Google topology merge loops to lower poly. Resolution of edge loops. Yeah, so that's like, this is the type of like patterns that I'm talking about, where it's just 1 1 1 and this is 2 2 1. So you have like these triangles, and in this case like the 3 2 1. You have this loop like looping around, and then it becomes just one thing. So those are the kind of patterns I'm talking about. In this case, I guess what I need to figure out is this is gonna probably hook up to this, I imagine. So we have 1 2 3 4 going to 3. So that's never gonna like line up, is it? Like, that's never gonna work, I don't think. This also needs to like have an extra edge loop in it, which means that this is gonna require to have that extra edge loop in it as well. Which might actually kind of help, because we can now make this like... No, that doesn't make a difference, I don't think. This is the worst part about 3D modeling. This is much worse than UV unwrapping, much worse than rigging, much worse than weight painting, much worse than anything else. Okay, what if we connect those up like that, right? And then this can have a quad that like connects it to this. I'm just kind of doing stuff. Throw in a triangle there, hook these up to each other, and fucking call it a day. This makes no sense. This is super bad. But we're gonna move on and pretend like none of that happened. Okay, then we pretty much just draw around here. I don't really care about the specific resolution. We're going to run into an issue here, though, with being no actual mesh. So I guess we just kind of bridge across. And we'll add in... that's bad. Hold on. And we'll just add in some, like, loops. Maybe? Is that a thing we can do? Oh, I think that kind of fucked up. Let's just do that in edit mode, because Retopology itself is kind of like shitting the bed about that. So if you just add in those right there, and then like add in, I think, one right here or something. Yeah, we can make that work. And then this can... Let's just do a whole bunch of stuff in edit mode, because, again, Retopology is kind of losing it at the mere, like, ID of a bunch of these meshes. And I think we should just be able to select both of these, and that makes a... Yeah, that's not ideal. But this should make a quad. Okay. That's the body. Oh, no, look at the head. Let's just... kind of do it like this. And see how that ends up going for us. Probably badly, if I had to guess. Yeah, probably really badly. But maybe not that badly. Yeah, we didn't even, like, think about how this is going to line up. That was a stupid way to do it. Holy shit. Okay. This entire loop needs to move back a fair bit. Can I select multiple of these at once? Yes. So I can only move one of them. Maybe if I select the loop as a whole, from like here to all this. There I can do something. I don't know what the logic behind any of these controls are. But things can be done. Fuck me. Jesus Christ. Is there anything I can do to fix those holes? Because those holes in the actual, like, sculpted mesh are really messing with me right now. And I don't really want to keep going with this, because this is only going to get worse before it gets better. Why won't you let me move you more than... What? Select. I want to select you. I can just go back into edit mode. I can just go back into edit mode. Can just say, hey, you, vertex, you live over here now. Because Retopoflow refuses to like actually let me put things in the places where I want to put them. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of wing it for the head. Because nothing that we're doing here actually makes sense. So let's try to see if we can make it make sense a bit more. Which means that we like connect that to that and that to that. And then I guess this to that. And that to that. And then connect them all up. And that creates one triangle. Sure. At this point, I'm not even upset about one triangle, to be honest. I'm just happy that things are kind of connecting up. And not much more than kind of, either. I should point out. Especially this stuff here on the inside. Like, I don't even necessarily need this to be modeled. If I'm being, like, super real about this. Because this is not going to be seen. Make that into a triangle. Then make that into a triangle. There's a hole here, which is now filled. You know what? If we just went into sculpt mode and we just said, hey, I want to smooth all this out a little. Just like relax a bunch of these edges so that they're a little less messed up. I suppose that is a thing that we could do. And then this should more or less connect up. You might want to add in like one more edge loop somewhere along the lines. And we definitely will want to do that, yes. Hold on. I think now we're going through a little too much. That's body. It's the head. Okay. I'm just going to use sculpt mode again to just like kind of pull this back into a reasonable place. Reasonable-ish place. And salvage what we have. You know what? I just realized we probably could have done this symmetrically and saved ourselves a lot of trouble. Because most of the issues exist on the left side, so if we just did it symmetrically and we worked on the right side, it probably would have not been that. Okay, lesson learned. Let's not get upset about it. Lesson learned. That was stupid. That was monumentally stupid. one might even say. Okay, now with all this in place, I think it is about a good place to, to head back into Retopology. And start looking at hooking all of this up again, because we need to. It's really annoying that these things that exist now under our mesh are effectively inaccessible. So I guess this workspace actually doesn't. You know what? This is so fucked anyway. Let's throw that out and try to see if we can fix his head somehow first, because I wouldn't know how though. What if we remesh? Only remesh the parts that actually, like, I don't know. Maybe if the voxel size is like super low, actually does a decent job. Maybe it's gonna crash Blender. Who fucking knows? Nope, that's worse. I guess this technically, if we just set the octave depth to being a ridiculous number, kind of fills part of the hole. We could do something with that. Hold on. This is super bad. But if we now go back into sculpt mode and actually like remesh this to a normal mesh again, and we just smooth this back out, that kind of fixes the holes. In the worst imaginable way possible, but it did fix it, so that's going to make retopologizing the whole thing a lot easier. Now let's also make sure that if we're doing that, we go back into edit mode and we symmetrize the geometry. And we try to retopo flow again now with this, because this should help a lot. So like we can start with some contours going down like this. That's pretty good. Then I don't know if this needs to be 16. Probably doesn't need to be 16. Can I set the resolution for these anywhere? Probably right. Surely. Contours, initial count. Let's set this to 8. Not 106. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Do you have a video by chance that can help me managing objectives across multiple levels? That should be... if you're referring to like the quest system, that should be part of the quest system series. Because essentially what you would do is you keep track of your progress of any given task, probably by like name. variables. And you do that in a save file. And every time you load into a level, you load from that save file again. Ideally, you just have a save object in memory so that you don't need to like get that from disk every single time. But that way, like when you update your progress in one level, it gets sent to the save file, and then when you go into another level, you just like you always grab that from the save file again anyway. So you effectively you put it into a persistent place, which it makes most sense to do that in a save object because this is stuff that you need to save anyway. This doesn't need to be even 8. We can maybe make this like 4. It's really annoying that you can't just double click and replace the number. Oh, that's the entire thing around. In that case, let's make this maybe 12 for the front bit here. And then let's make it 8 for these things in the back. Symmetry is already kind of fucking up. I'll just do it manually. The symmetry bits, that's okay. What the fuck? It's 128. What the hell? How did that happen? Hello? One more, thank you. Alright, so now it's just a matter of like connecting this up like any normal retopology. First and foremost, like adding in an extra loop cut here, probably don't hurt. Polypan. This can be pretty like directly hooked into this, I imagine. That into there, but that to there is a bit of a stretch, I think. So we keep this loop going through here. So now that we actually have a working like workspace for this retopology, it's a little easier to also follow along with how all the loops run, because now we've like made this extra loop here, like to loop around. Which doesn't then hook into this anymore. It's just how we're going to connect that up, I guess. There does need to be a little bit of a triangulage there. Because we do like definitely want this to like continue through as a loop to whatever the hell the other side of this would be. That would be like that, right? That makes sense. As a loop to there, maybe? Actually, I think I might have messed that up. It's pretty damn near the middle. Well, no, actually, I think that's pretty good. So that probably needs to, like, come through. As does, like, this. Right. But that doesn't at all answer the question of how are we going to connect these things up. It is really bad in the way that like these models are clipping through each other. It's like super not clear what's going on where. Sometimes. Most of the time it's clear, but sometimes it's not super clear. Don't get me wrong, it's still better than whatever the hell Blender itself does. I guess we can connect up these to there. Like this is a thing that we could do. Add in an extra loop here. Like that to there, that to there. And then like this to that. Maybe. With an extra loop in it. So we can loop around like this and then connect that up back to here. That apparently just creates the opportunity for us to... Ooh, no. Well, triangle it. Sure. As long as everything in the end is just closed off, that's at this point all that I care about. I just hate this process, and at some point I might get better at it, but probably not, to be honest with you. So that to there, that to there. Fucking throw in another triangle. Why the fuck not? It's in a bad position, but... Look, I'm aware that it's bad. I can't be bothered to give a shit. Because it'll probably be fine. For any practical purposes. Especially since everything down here is going to be clipped anyway. It's going to be invisible because it's going to be the underside of this bit of mesh. So technically I could just leave this open anyway. I'm just doing this. I don't know why I'm doing this. I just am. This could probably do with another loop in it though. Okay, now we get to connecting this up. Once this is done, the top part of the hat probably shouldn't be too bad, I don't think. Hopefully. Maybe. That's what I tell myself. Does this just line up? I think this might just... not quite. We can make it line up. And just pretend like it does. That seems pretty lining up. Which I think means we have everything connected here at the bottom, aside from those end bits, but we can just come back to those in a bit. Select this. Didn't we have the thing where we can select loops? Yeah, loops. Hello? Let me select the entire loop? What the fuck? Oh, that's adding in extra loops. Okay. I guess we start this as contours again. So we like draw some here. Let's draw them as 16, not 816 again. That's a bit too much. But if we just draw them like this, we'll have to figure out how to connect that up at some point. But that's okay. And then we can do these like that. I'm just gonna do one side of this and then maybe like just symmetrize the entire, well, maybe not. Think about it, maybe not. Down to 8 for this bottom one, that's for sure. Oh, these are so thin that it's actually kind of freaking out, I think. With the contours. I'll draw those in myself, sure. So, for the most part, we just try to not use the knife. This adds up to each other fairly decently. We do have to, like, do a little sketchy shit down here, probably. But that adds up to there, that adds up to there. Then we just throw in a cheeky little triangle here. Then this to there, and then this will, yeah, so another triangle. Triangle it up. And now we should be able to pretty smoothly, almost. This stuff is not going to really deform anyway, so it's probably fine. It's not super clear topology. It's quite the opposite. In fact, it's pretty fucking bad. Was probably good enough for what we needed to do. I was hoping that we could actually get around to like unwrapping this thing or rigging it in today's stream as well, but that's clearly not happening. I'll be happy if we get around to doing the entire retopologizing. Which I think we will, because the mask itself is going to be fairly easy, I think, to do. Oh, no. Because there's no, like, weird shapes with that. Holy shit, I really drifted there, didn't I? Alright, that's one of the horns. That just needs to connect up to this and that, and then this, and then, oh my god, this is gonna be a pain in the ass. That can just connect to these like that. That should be fine. Then I guess polypan, we like try to connect some stuff up like this. maybe. It's gonna need some more loops. Without a doubt. Let's add in the one more loop at least here. Which is gonna make this a total mess. Wait, how does that even like line up then? Yeah, so that goes like this. So this probably just like has to loop around. So this phase is eventually going to connect up to that. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think this needs to connect up to that one instead. Right. I think that's from like the center, that's 1, 2, 3. From the center, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not it. I think that's gonna be trouble. But we'll no, man, we'll figure it out. Okay. Obviously that's bad. But we can add in these loops here without too much trouble because this is not connected up yet. So maybe it's not actually that bad. So that's there, that's to there, that's to there. Then the problem comes in when we connect these things up here. But these also aren't like super connected up yet. So this can just be a triangle. And can this be a quad? And this can be a very badly shaped quad. And that then makes that loop kind of messed up, but technically looping. Okay, that's one issue. I'm not going to call it solved, because that would be stretching the truth to its absolute limits. But it is patched up, is the best I can call that. So let's finish off this loop around. Then do the second horn, and then connect up those horns, and then we should be able to fairly effectively do the mask without too much trouble. Oh, we've gotten ourselves in a situation where we have an infinitely looping. Okay, so that's just going to terminate in a triangle. Sure. That's how we deal with that, right? Okay. So this will be interesting because this needs to, I guess, then like go over there. This needs to probably like connect up to this. Or does that? I think this makes more sense. So let's bring up those patterns again that I had a moment ago. That is the RuneScape wiki. That's not those patterns. So 3, 2, 1, right? So what you can do, I don't know that that's necessarily what we want to do here, but we're going to try it. So what you can do is you can make this one thing. And then you can make this a loop that like loops around in this way. Right? So now it's still technically all quads. And it's technically connected, which is probably better than anything that I've done so far. So, yay me. So let's do that and that. These can just kind of like keep going because they don't need to like weirdly connect up to anything. Although these do need to like eventually connect up to like this as well, right? Yeah, they do. That's actually a good point. Yeah, I'm just going to do the one side here, and then I'm going to just mirror the mesh. Because I am not sure how well this is going. Well, I am actually quite sure how well this is going. The answer is not well. But I do seem to have accidentally made a thing happen here. So I guess that's technically a quad. I don't know that that's a good quad, but it is one. Triangle. We can do a triangle. Well, actually, this would be a quad, wouldn't it? How does that even like... Oh, that actually... Okay, some of those are a little weird, but not as weird as I thought they were going to be. Alright, so then the back of the head connecting back up. So we kind of like do that like this, right? I think. And then this eventually like connects back up to there. And that's technically over like the halfway point. So the mirror modifier is just going to kind of sort that out for me, I think. Oh, this is now adding geometry to the horn. That's also not ideal. Okay, then this. I guess we do the same, like... Because this is technically like 4 to 1, so we do this pattern over here. where we make... Oh, no. That's a triangle. I don't know that I have the room for that here, to be honest with you. Also, there is a face here already, I think. That's just, yeah. I think I just need to, like, subdivide this face a little. Yeah. So this can actually probably just hook up to there. Which means that this can connect up. Which means that that can connect up. Which means that we just have, like, this one little weird triangle here again. But I don't mind a weird little triangle sometimes. There's a lot of weird little triangles going on here. Well, we on loops. I was doing polypan stuff, dude. Yeah, I'm gonna say that that's pretty decent. So there's a thing here that just should close holes for you. I think. I just saw that at some point. Patches. How do we do that? How does, like, patches work? Because this is the thing that closes holes, right? Shortcut is, yeah, okay. So how does the patches, like, tool work? Do I, like, need to select this loop, or... I guess it doesn't work the way I thought it might. Okay. Fucking back to polypan, I guess. So back to quads for a moment, so that we can connect up this to at least the other side. Well, that's gonna be a mess. Well, so far so good. Somehow this side worked out even better. I don't know, man. As long as we have a reasonable, like... Oh, that's definitely where the issues come in, okay? As long as we have a somewhat reasonable resolution for this thing. Like poly count, I mean. I don't really care about, like, the technical details of how bad its topology is. I can live with that, I think. This is one of those situations where, like, it's just visually noisy. And I don't really know what, like, developers could even do to fix that, but fuck is it bad. Like, this is just something that I'm like, no, I just cannot do that unless I can disable the underlying mesh. Because it's just that noisy, just that, like, the detail there is just too fine. But I also actually, like, fuck! When did I last save? No, 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 no. Okay, that's not too bad then. Didn't actually lose anything. Yeah, so the thing that I was thinking about is maybe just like doing this and then doing the grid fill. That's nope. Or just doing this. Yeah, that works. So that leaves us, you know what? I have an ID. It's a bad ID, but it is an ID. There we go. Now we just need to connect that up to there and that up to there, but that shouldn't be that big a deal because we can extrude this out. Then make a like quad out of that. Okay, we might need to do a little bit more work than I thought we might. Hold on. We extrude this out. We can... We actually only have to do this on one side anyway, because I'm going to mirror this, I decided, right? Um, look into this as well as a fix. I guess we can just... If auto merge is on, we can just terminate that loop that way. That allows me to now make a quad out of this. And at that point, all I have to do is... triangulate this face, I think. Might be the wrong way around. How does that make sense? 1, 2, 3, 4. It will be 1, 2. Oh, it's the wrong thing that I triangulated. That's okay. So what you do is you do that, right? So this is technically a quad. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this is, I guess, a triangle that then, yeah. Sure. But we'll probably do the last little bits here back into the like Retopology thing. Well, I think these we can probably just... Well, we could just do that. And then take this, pull it out a little, make it a little smaller. Which only leaves us this little head thing. For which I'm more than happy to go back into there. So let's just draw these in like this, right? So we know kind of the breakdown, I suppose, of how we need to connect these things up eventually. Well, not quite like that. Hold on, some of this doesn't quite work out. Okay, so this one, for the first time, I'm actually like, I'm doing a triangle here on purpose because I want all these to like terminate into like the actual like snout. But then like starting at here, I have no idea what I'm doing again. I suppose we'll want to like do one of these on what? No, one of these on both sides. Well, again, the sides don't really matter because I'm just doing the one side right now, which is going to fuck up the topology to begin with. So I don't know why I'm even bothering doing any like. I suppose I'm trying to learn, which is fair enough. But I also just don't give a shit. So I'm just kind of going to do this badly so that it actually gets done. Which I think it is now done, right? On one side, but again, we're going to mirror it, so who gives a shit? Think that's pretty much it. Yeah, so we definitely could do with a little bit more of like this, which means that we can then connect these two up, which means that we can get rid of this face. Fill this face in instead. Pull this vert out a little. Pull this vert up a little. Let's auto mirror this thing. Could be worse. Could be a lot worse. Like subdiff. I am not unhappy. I'm also not happy. I'm not unhappy with this so far. So yeah, this is the body. Only need the mask done now. Which... Oh boy. That's not the mask. That's not the mask. That's the mask. That should be relatively straightforward though, so let's try to get that done fairly quickly. I gotta stop doing art streams because nobody like actually gives a fuck about that. Which is fair because I don't know what I'm doing. So that's probably not that interesting to watch. Okay. Let's actually properly turn on symmetry for this before we do anything, and then I guess I can just like start with a poly strip like this away. And then like connect that up with that some kind of way. It's not super intuitive. Kind of feel like maybe this is going to be a fairly thin loop around. I think doing this mask is actually going to be much better practice for me to begin with, because it's a much, like, simpler shape. That doesn't have, like, a bunch of loops weirdly, like, needing to come together. Right? So we can kind of do a bit more of this type of deal. So does this now... Yeah, that is a loop that way. That's a loop that way. Okay. I need this loop to loop all the way around, though. So this needs to... This needs to connect up to that, which means we actually need this to... What does that mean? Well, that's a triangle, so that's not going to make that connect up. That makes sense. Um... Oh, I think I know what I'm doing. Let's delete this edge, because what we want to do, I think, is we want to connect polypen. Connect this up. Well, hold on. We do want to have the knife here still. Polypen. So yeah, if we connect this up there, well, maybe, I don't know that this is going to do what I think it's going to do. It might. Nope! Let's just get rid of... everything that we're not working with here, right? So this edge needs to connect with that edge directly. So let's get rid of this vert. If I set this to polypen and I just force this to do quads only, how does that, like... It just doesn't. It just won't. Okay. So let's think that through. Why do these not connect up still, though? I just also don't understand a lot of stuff that's happening. Probably is the issue. I guess the issue is that these... Hold on. I think those need to not be connected up. So now... Yeah, the same issue we have here, right? Is because, yeah. Because the edge opposite of this edge is that edge. It should not be that way. But I don't know how to not have it that way. I guess we have it not that way by just adding in one of these. Okay, so that like fully makes sense. um, so what I did there was, yeah, so this connects up to there, and now we have... Okay, cool. That works. Let's connect this up back to the center then. Which means that we have the loops for the eyes. And now that we have those, we can like try to pull out some quads to go up along here. And some quads to go up along there. More or less. Definitely need some more geometry, to make all that even like remotely work. But this is probably, yeah, so this is gonna be... that's... We definitely need at least like one edge along here. We probably need more detail than just one face between these two, right? Can we get away with just one? We probably can. Question is if we want to. All right. This... It does help that this is just a lot of, like, flat surfaces as well, so we can actually get the mask to be super low in poly count. Because it can have a lot of very big polygons. Hello. Welcome. 3 hours in. My mind is kind of like cooked, so I'm just kind of rambling to myself. Hopefully that is either informative, it's probably not because I'm not good at this, or at least entertaining. Or something in between. So I guess just putting a triangle there is not that bad of an idea, maybe? I don't know. kind of thinking to just build this section out of triangles only, to be very honest with you. Because none of this needs to like really be a proper loop, so just having a bunch of triangles here is probably fine. Saves me a lot of headache. Isn't that the norm? Me not knowing what I'm doing? I mean, sometimes. But when I'm like working inside Unreal, I kind of know at least the general direction that I'm going. Especially when we're just like coding, I like stuff sometimes doesn't work, but I like know what I'm doing. Here I just straight up don't know what I'm doing. Like at all. I'm just kind of like winging it, like super badly. But for this mesh, it's actually coming together kind of nicely. Because with the front done, we can be very sloppy with the back, which is something that I hear more often. Because nobody's going to see that. Because that's going to be... We don't even necessarily like need a back. We need to like model these edges, and that's kind of... Well, yeah, actually, we only need to model the edges. We don't need to actually model those back faces. Like, at all. Now I think about it. So, yeah, let's not model those back faces if we don't need to. I did it for these other two meshes, but I don't think I'm going to do it for this one. For this one, I think what we're going to do is I'm just going to effectively just pull these quads like out like this. And then... Yeah, I wish there was an easier way to just like fill these, but I suppose this is not too bad. I mean, you made a shape and optimizing a mesh in 3 hours. It's a very simple character though. So that helps. Like, this is probably the simplest character I've made for this game. Like, full stop. Which is why I can do it in 3 hours. Because making any character in 3 hours is insane. Like, that's, like, definitely not a normal thing to do. And I'm also, again, not doing a good job with the character necessarily. There's a lot of like sloppy stuff happening here. But as long as it works, that's in the end the thing that I care about most, I think. So I can live with a slightly badly made mesh, I think. That seems like it might not have... No, okay. I was going to say, that seems like it might not have like properly snapped to the other vert. It's not dumb or lazy, and even better if as intended. I mean, it's just like on a technical level, this mesh is bad. I don't think it's going to necessarily matter for the most part. So it's like not that big a deal, but it's like objectively, this is just a bad mesh. Like badly, like just bad topology. It's probably fine from like a practical standpoint, but it's like technically probably pretty fucked up. But again, this is one of those things where I'm like, one guy, and you kind of got to pick your battles at some point, right? And the battles that I'm picking is definitely not making the technically most perfect mesh ever. I am for sure prioritizing getting stuff like actually done sometime like this century, preferably. So let's go back out of here and then turn off the cube again. So this is the retopologized version, which actually, like, altogether again, I don't... Oh, we still need to do the inside of the eyes, I realize. But let's add a subdivision surface just to see how everything looks when we do that. I don't hate it. Shade auto smooth. Crease up some of these a little. Is it raining? No. Thought it was raining there for a moment. And then add in some of the edges again. Because I do want some of these to have like fairly harsh edges. The outside also should have fairly harsh edge. All right, that gets us back into the into doing the inside of the eyes still. Kind of forgot about that. So added active. Should be fairly straightforward to also add those in though, because that's maybe actually not. Well, it should be, because it's mostly just a matter of like doing this, right? For everything. Just like pulling them through and... That should pretty much be it, I think. Just doing that for the entire eye. Might even be able to get away with just doing it with one poly wide, honestly. Yeah, let's just keep it at 1. Because I think that's honestly enough. And I can just kind of draw them in like this. Pretty, like, rough. and then just like make that into a triangle. Add in a triangle here as well, because again, I don't care if it's bad. And yeah. Oh, there's a couple of holes though. Let's get rid of the subdivision real quick. What's going on here? Something doesn't quite fully add up, I think. But that might be... This is an internal face. Get rid of this edge. Yeah, then we try this again. Fill this. There we go. That's actually pretty slick now that it's like not all bumpy and stuff. There's a little fuckiness over here with... that's also just something that I think is... Yeah. Yeah, no, that's pretty slick. I like that. That actually turned out a lot better than I thought it might. If we add in the body and the head as well, like we actually have a pretty like workable character here. We do need to tie up a couple of things here that aren't like connected up properly, but we should be able to manage that relatively easily, I imagine. Yeah, so all told, these three objects together are now only 6,000 faces, which is only 12,000 triangles. Which is not even that much less than the high poly version, I think. But it's slightly better topology, presumably. So, and it's easier to, like, looking at this, like, this is somewhat easier to unwrap as well. But we'll do that another day. For now, we have the basic shape layout for everything. And it's, as you can see, it's obviously not the same as the image, but that's what you get for, like, not being a proper artist. I just do the best I can, and that's this. This is the best I can. My poly count for the like full count version is I think it is actually like a pretty pretty high in comparison. Let me try to find everything. We have this, and then we had the body somewhere, which I think was body. Yeah, so the sculpted version is 75,000. So it was pretty low for like a sculpt to begin with. 12k is pretty decent, but yeah, I think if we can we like toggle back and forth easily between these? Nah, that's gonna be a pain to do. But we can, yeah. I think that's pretty good. So on Thursday we'll probably be back. I do have some more dental work to be done apparently next Thursday. I didn't know that. But my dentist was like, yeah, you're gonna need to come back one more time. But they shouldn't be like drilling into my skull this time. I don't think. So I shouldn't be in like a bunch of pain. Or like with a numb mouth shortly after that. So I should be able to stream on Thursday, where we will probably do the initial rigging for this guy, I imagine, is what we might do. And unwrapping as well. We'll just continue on. I don't know what we're going to do with texturing. Again, I can't texture this thing anyway at the moment because I don't have a license for Substance Painter active because I stopped my CC license because I'm going to get the Steam version. But I'm like kind of in between now, so I can't do anything texture-wise. So I'm probably going to just, for the time being, slap on a couple of solid colors and call it a day. And just focus on like rigging and animating him. But yeah, we should be able to like finish off this entire anime more or less within like 2, maybe 3 more streams. And I might just do it off stream as well. I don't know. It kind of feels like this is a fun little project to do on stream for the next little bit. But yeah, that's been it for now. Thanks everybody for tuning in, hanging out, putting up with my very bad Blender skills. And I'll be back on hopefully on Thursday. So